the first case we're going to look at a few cases so that we can get an idea of what really was underneath, what was behind this thing of werewolves being, witch trials and people being accused of being werewolves. Now, the first one was the werewolves of Poligny, and they were tried by the Inquisitor General of Besançon, in 1521, and there were three men called Michel Verdun, Pierre Bourgeois and Philibert Menteau. Now, the thing about this account was that they tried by the Inquisitor General, so we do see the Dominican influence there. He was a Dominican friar. And it was written in retrospect. We get this account from Bourgeois, and it was written in kind of 1590-ish, something like that. So he was remembering this. We don't have the direct records. He was recalling this. Now, the other theme about this was that they were tortured. I said something at QED. I said if you tortured me, I would admit that I had Spice Girl records. Somebody on Twitter took that to mean I have Spice Girl. I do not. I do not. What I'm saying is I would make a line. Yes. Yes, I would admit to anything. So I don't have Spice Girl records, for the record. But of course you'll say anything, you know. And so often they say, it's a euphemism in the literature. Oh, so-and-so was shown the instruments of torture, which probably means they snagged a fingernail or two on the way out. You know, it's sort of, that torture obscures the story in every case. And we know that now as well. And a lot of people knew it at the time and wrote about it, but it didn't stop it being used. So probably the reason why this is such a fanciful account is because torture was involved. And they claimed to have a magic salve which they put on them, a magic ointment from Satan that turned them into wolves and then turned them back into humans again. So that's an interesting theme that comes back. Comes up again and again. Now, the other thing about this, and we get this in films as well, is Pierre Bourgeois, it's Michel Verdun. The way that they found out about all of these werewolves was that one of them was walking through the forest. There was a traveller walking through the forest and he was attacked by this big wolf, and the traveller managed to wound the wolf yelped and ran away, and then he tracked the wolf down to a hut, and he found a man being tended by his wife, and the man had a wound on the same part of his body where he had wounded the wolf. So this was all part of the evidence, which is, you know, of course, this wolf changed into a man because he had the wound on the same place in his body. So there was a whole area of academia given over to exactly how a person could physically change into a wolf, because it seemed improbable. Now, Gilles Garnier was another one. His case was in 1573. And with this, it's different. We're not looking so much in arrears at this one. We know, we've got information at the time that something was going on. We don't know what it was, but there was a proclamation from the local parliament basically allowing people to go out with weapons and look for a wolf. So we know that people were being attacked, probably children or livestock. So we don't know whether or not it was actually a human agent, like a serial killer, or whether it was a rogue wolf. But at least there is something of a chain of evidence to say that something was actually really going on. Now, the way that they caught Garnier was that one girl was saved. She was quite small. She was about 5, and a group of peasants ran towards this attack as it was happening, and somebody recognised Gilles Garnier, who was a local man, in this wolf's features. They chased the wolf away, but somebody said, that looked like Gilles Garnier. So, can a man change shape? It's an interesting thought. The Compendium Maleficarum of Guizot said that the devil deceives our senses in various ways. Sometimes he substitutes another body while the witches themselves are absent or hidden apart in some secret place. And he assumes the body of the wolf from the air and wraps it around him and does those actions which men think are done by the wretched absent witch who is asleep. He surrounds a witch with an aerial effigy of a beast, each part of which fits onto the corresponding parts of the witch's body, but this only happens when they use certain ointments and words words. So you had two models there, and here we are now onto explicitly the area of people aren't writing off lycanthropy as a metaphor or an explanation for anything. They are saying people change into wolves, and this is how they do it, the mechanism. Either the person goes to sleep and the devil goes out and does everything in the form of a wolf that they are ascribing to the witch, or the devil surrounds the witch with an aerial effigy, so it just looks as though the person is a wolf. So this is the alleged scientific mechanism by which a person changes into a wolf. And it's from the kind of, they start with the first principles that only God can create life, a perfect life. You get this quite a lot in mythology, that if some dark force creates some sort of life, then there's some imperfection in it. Like the devil's always got a limp if he turns up in person, because he can't be perfect, because he hasn't been created by God. Again from Guizot, we've got, it's no matter for wonder if they are afterwards found with an actual wound in those parts of their human body where they were wounded, because the enveloping air easily yields, and the true body receives the wounds. So when a witch really does go out and has been sort of given their wolfy hologram by the devil, then they still get wounded. Alternatively, if the witch is not bodily present, the devil wounds her in the part of the absent body corresponding to the wound received by the beast's body. So this was a way of explaining scientifically how you could actually get sympathetic wounding and metamorphosis. People did take the trouble to actually work out the logic of it. So the thing about Gilles Garnier was they recognised Garnier's features in the wolf. Now he was an outsider from Lyon, and he was disliked for his personal manner too. So he may well have been antisocial, he may well have been killing local children. It's very hard to say, we don't know. In English witchcraft trials, you quite often had people, the poorest people, and outsiders actually turned on for scapegoating purposes. So it may well be that he was perfectly innocent and they just didn't like him. They didn't like his wife, Apolline, either. And he was very poor. I mean, if you're going to really just turn around on somebody and scapegoat them and be really horrible to them, better to make sure that they're not particularly rich or influential, because then it could turn around and it could bounce back on you. So we don't know, in short, we don't know with Gilles Garnier, but there's more of a chance there that there was actually an antisocial perpetrator within the community who was a serial killer, and they said werewolf because it's a great label for what he was doing.